Hi there. I have a question for you. How many times have you pushed through exhaustion, ignoring your body's signals to slow down? I know I've been there, just recently, in fact. But the more we fall into this pattern, this habit of pushing, the less in tune we become with the communication mechanism of our body. Essentially, we become disconnected from our own inner wisdom. It gets all thrown out of whack. So over time, we learn to cope with stress rather than listening to our body's signals to pause. We normalize the discomfort. We tell ourselves, oh, it's fine, everything is going okay, because we're living in this fast-paced culture where it's go, 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 and there's this tendency to push through fatigue. And we mask the body's distress signals with either stimulants or suppressants. And over time, we end up losing touch with the signals that our body is sending us. So in this video, I'll be talking to the ways that we are unknowingly overriding the body's signals, and how, if we actually learn to listen to the signals, this can change the way we approach our health and our overall well-being. So if you're new to this page, my name is Karen Gay. Hi there. I'm a holistic health practitioner with over 15 years of being in private practice. I work with individuals who are experiencing nervous system dysregulation, which leads often to all sorts of issues, including chronic stress, burnout, fatigue, physiological dysfunctions, as well as maladaptive trauma responses. So these are all symptoms that my clients are presenting with. And the core of my work is actually listening to the body. The body is constantly communicating with us. But in modern life, many of us have learned to just override the body signals. So in today's discussion, we're going to be talking about listening versus overriding. We need to understand that our bodies are designed to move towards a balance, towards homeostasis is what we call this. So when something is off internally, externally as well, the body will communicate this to us. So at first, these signals, they can be pretty subtle, but over time, the more you ignore them, they amplify. So some of the signals that you might get would be something like fatigue, for example, tension here and there, discomfort, overall irritability, digestive issues, challenges, sleeping issues as well. And again, the more we ignore these things, the more they are exacerbated. So we tend to fall into this pattern of managing the symptoms rather than addressing the root cause. Not every issue has a deep root cause, especially if you address things right away. But many of the challenges that people are facing today develop gradually over time. So the further away we move from homeostasis, the more we are actually sort of like overriding the signals. And so here are a few examples of how we actually override the body's signals. The first one is pushing through exhaustion. So we touched on that already a little bit. Instead of responding to the body's signals for rest, we're often stimulating ourselves to keep going. It's coffee, energy drinks, energy supplements. These are common examples of what we're doing these days. On the other end of the spectrum, alcohol or sleeping medications, medicinal plants, for example, are often used to force the body to slow down. We've been pushing so much now, it's hyperactive. Our system is hyperactive, hypervigilant, and it has a hard time winding down on its own. So when these coping strategies become the primary way we manage our energy, we can actually lose touch with what the body actually needs. And so what can we do instead? What might be some helpful tips here? One simple practice is learning to check in with the body, taking a few moments at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, just to do a little check-in, to tune in internally, do a little bit of an internal scan, and you might ask yourself a couple of questions. How is my body feeling right now? Just really just pausing and listening, quieting yourself, and asking, are there any physical sensations or emotions that can be felt in any areas of the body? And just doing a real sort of honest check. And it doesn't have to be a long extended thing. You can actually do some of these exercises periodically throughout the day, for example, just brief moments of listening in, just organically, little mini checks, like what I like to call a bit of a pulse check with your body. And so some of these longer, not so much interventions, but moments, shall I say, with yourself, you can really get a sense of what your body, what your mind, your spirit, your soul is calling out for support. For support with. What does it need resourcing? Does it need more rest? Does it need some body work, for example, certain foods or supplements? Does it need emotional support or social support? These are all things that the body will communicate to you and let you know that these are some of its needs. Perhaps you have your own system of checking in. If you're looking for some additional support, I've put together a little self-regulation kit. You can check that out in the description below if you are interested. Also, hopefully these videos are acting as some sort of a resource for you. If so, you know what I'm going to ask next, to like, subscribe, share the video with someone else. Perhaps they could benefit from the words that I share here. So thank you for that. So coming back to how we're overriding our body signals, number 2 that I've got on my little list here is the fact that we tend to normalize what's going on. We often hear things like back pain, that's just a matter of getting older. It's like, that's just the way it is. Hot flashes are just a part of menopause. IBS is just something that, one has to live with. So, these issues, they're common, but common does not necessarily mean inevitable, right? It's like, what if instead of normalizing the discomfort, we become more curious about what the body might be communicating with us, and can we become more familiar with its needs so that we can address them in a more effective way, and before they become these long, drawn-out chronic issues. So for back pain, for example, often people are afraid to move just in case they hurt themselves further. But what the research is showing out, there's lots of pain research that's coming to the forefront, which is showing that we actually need to be moving more to help with pain. And the pain, what they're finding also, is not necessarily coming from the site where you think you're feeling the pain. It's a whole other mechanism that's perhaps signals from the brain that are implicated in all of well, not all, but a majority of the pain issues that should have resolved over a certain period of time in terms of healing, right? So take a look. I'll try and remember to put some resources, links to some of the research around pain in the description below. Okay. Hormones, menopause, just hormonal imbalance in general, those are things that can shift positively for the better with just looking at dietary changes, lifestyle changes, and other appropriate support. Perhaps it's hormone replacement. But again, if we can look at the holistic picture and get a deeper insight as to what's going on. Digestive issues, IBS, again, that can be improved again by listening to what are the signals that the body is sending. Can we tune in to the nervous system to support it, for example? Again, holistically, can we look at dietary changes? Can we look at healing past trauma, for example? These are, again, holistic ways of addressing a problem or an issue to better understand what's at the core, what's at the root cause of some of these things that are going on. Now, you may not have any of these conditions, or you may have other situations going on in your life, and not every symptom has a quick solution. I'm not saying, snap your fingers and everything's going to be fine if you're following some of these things that I've outlined here, especially since these symptoms have manifested over an extended period of years, perhaps, right? They've built up. So it will most typically take some time to resolve these issues. But again, listening in, tuning into what the body's telling us, is it asking for attention? Can we address those issues before they become ingrained patterns and something that's chronic and ongoing? So the third way we're overriding our body's signals, and this, I'm just going to be straight up here and say that it's complacency. We flat up just don't do anything about our situation. We accept it as a given. It's like, oh, this is our lot in life. We resort to thinking about it as a bit of an annoyance, like a normal part of aging, for example, and we just put up with it. But is this really the way we're meant to be living? A large part of the reason we're just so complacent is that it's this construct in which we're living in society, where it's like, we're not really encouraged to look below the surface or to investigate root causes. It's a system that keeps pushing us forward, keep going again, push through, grind. And it doesn't give you the chance to actually ask deeper questions and to slow down. When we do slow down, however, and listen to the body and look a little bit deeper, we give ourselves the opportunity for a shift in perspective. We're able to start to recognize patterns, for example. We become more aware of what supports us and what depletes us. And so in this awareness comes empowerment. And it's a way that we can reclaim our responsibility. It is our responsibility for our own healing. And it all starts with listening, pausing and listening, taking the time to listen to the needs of the body and, what's the information that it has to share with us. So when we take time to tune in to our body, to become more familiar with its rhythms, its signals, and its needs, we can also reclaim our birthright of a healthy, connected soma and soul. We're each our own guardian of our well-being, our own well-being. It's up to us, but we don't need to navigate it all on our own. That's not what I'm saying either. But we can get support from many places, from our community, practitioners, other resources such as books, education, these videos, for example. We have help available to us along the way. So we're definitely not alone. And if you feel that you need some support, I invite you to explore some of the resources that I have below listed in the description. You can also see what's available to you in your own community. So before I let you go, I'm curious. I would like to know what strategies you might have that you found for yourself that you use most often when you recognize that your body's calling for something, when your soul is calling for some support. Do you push through? Or do you actually have ways of your own ways of checking in with yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually? If you're open to sharing, please do let me know in the comments, or you can send me an email directly. But hopefully, you're not ignoring the signals. Okay? Thank you for being here. Bye for now.